Sunglasses, I hope you found them. If not, the sun has forced you to find them. It is fantastic to finally see blue skies overhead. Yes, there's a little bit of clouds here and there providing some shade, but overall here in Perrysburg and across Northwest Ohio, Southeast Michigan, we are looking at sun back in the area. Happy to see that one. Of course, we will continue to see now with some sun, some warmer temperatures. And that means since we don't have the rain anymore, but we have that water and some warmth, the grass is going to really take off here. So though today we're kind of still drying out, maybe you have some soggy spots in those lower levels of your yard. So we're going to use Thursday to dry out. But if you're in good shape, get on the mower. No problems as far as new rain falling down. And Friday, really no excuses. We can just get it done and then we can enjoy the weekend. Now the weekend, it'll be a little bit warmer. So if you are going to be maybe push mowing, you'll maybe want to just do it early and then you don't have to break as much of a sweat. But we will find a warmer weekend and you still have the green light if you just want to wait and take care of it on Sunday. But it's definitely now grass cutting season and we're going to have a stretch of that here for, well, when you saw those green mowers, it means it's pretty quiet. We don't have a lot as far as those chances for rainfall through the weekend. As we go into next week, though, we will be watching for a system. It's starting to build, so we're going to see if it can take shape, but we will be looking at some rainfall chances for early next week. So for now, just enjoy the rest of this week, the weekend, and then make sure over the weekend you're tuning into WTOL 11 and also checking in on the WTOL 11 weather app for the latest on that brewing system. We're going to see that it's a little more busy, but yet still disorganized towards our west. We have this flow that's kind of coming across Texas, bringing those rain showers there. You can even kind of see those clouds kind of creating a little bit of that kind of backwards comma, we could say. And then we have another system trying to form out into the mountains. You'll see that further west, and it's slowly getting a little bit of that counterclockwise rotation on the broad and wide scale. So we will continue to keep our eyes west as these systems start to take off and brew a little bit. But as far as us, we don't have that big mess of green that we've been looking at on radar. It's pretty quiet, actually, and just a few clouds overhead mean we are not talking about much as far as rain. So finally, some sun in the forecast. When you open up the WTOL 11 weather app, you won't find much going on radar, and then you'll just want to see how long the sun is going to last here when we look at the hourly forecast. Also, then keeping an eye on those temperatures because we will find those that are going to be into the 60s today, finally, and then they do fall into the 50s and some 40s, but we will overall be looking at a little bit of a turn in the forecast to give us a little more of that spring sensation. You're going to find that here with our high temperatures. And though it's all kind of straight across the board, we do have a little bit of 60s that try to hold on. But once we get into Sunday, then it's straight as far as those 70s and even some upper 70s as we go into later next week. So it's a little more of a consistent heat that we will hold, and we will see, though, even beyond this 10-day forecast, if we can just kind of hold into a little more of that spring feeling and maybe just be done with the 40s. As far as where we should be, 47 is the low normally. So we'll be pretty close to that for tomorrow morning when we see those lows into the 40s and highs. Well, finally, we're getting at least a little bit closer in range. We're at least into the 60s for that instead of the 40s and 50s, but we should be flirting with 70 degrees at this point in the season. You can see we're lagging just a little bit behind in today's forecast and even a few days in that extended, but you will overall see that we're getting close to those 70s and holding them in the forecast. And just for fun, back in 1895, way long ago, the high temperature recorded was 89 degrees. Now, it wasn't too long ago, this century, 2005, we recorded a low of 25 degrees. So though we've been in some below average conditions, it hasn't been as chilly as what we've experienced before. But you have probably noticed that sun is coming up a little bit earlier. We're seeing that just into the 6 o'clock hour. 6:28 was the sunrise this morning, and we continue to add that daylight on. You're going to find your sunset tonight at 8:36. So as these temperatures start to warm, I know a lot of us are going to be out a little bit later because we're going to have that additional daylight. Now, another change that we're seeing in the forecast is our temperature map. You're going to find, yeah, still a little bit of green and close to some of those blues as the rainfall that we had yesterday. You can even see it on our temperature map when we have 46 in Montreal, 45 in Boston, and even those 50s on the outer edge. But we are starting to see a little more warmth moving in. You can even see our friends runs further west, they're looking at 60s and even some 70s for today. Sioux Falls is at 70 degrees right now even. So we will see some of that heat work its way in and get a little bit closer to us. So we are happy to see finally that spring feeling working its way back in. But for today, I'm just happy to see dry weather. Though it's going to be warming up, we finally have that sun. Highs are going to be into the mid 60s, and maybe you want to go for a run or a walk. Just get outside. Have your sunglasses though before you head on out there and enjoy it while we have this stretch of dry weather. I'm happy to report that it does stay here for the weekend. You'll find 68 on Saturday and 70 degrees by your Sunday, and we will be looking at a mix of clouds and sun for both days, and yet a little bit cooler. That 68 on Saturday, it's going to be a little bit cooler towards Lake Erie. So of course Cedar Point's opening this weekend, so just be mindful it'll be a little bit cooler there as you're riding the rides. But I'm sure with the excitement running around, you'll probably have enough energy to keep you warm, of course. And we do have more dry and sunny weather as we go into your Sunday. Now, a couple of cool things are happening in the astronomy world, making sure you stay up to date on these. You are going to find that the Aquarius meteor shower is going to be taking place here. So that's actually going to be this weekend. Friday and Saturday nights going to kind of be that best viewing time frame. But it's not going to be as busy. We will find that we have about 50 meteors per hour. So that's going to be the intensity or the rate. But still, you might be able to catch one here and there. Of course, you're going to want to avoid those city lights with the light pollution and head to some of those darker spots. But if you have that telescope, maybe you're able to catch a look of that one meteor just kind of shooting across the skies as we head into the weekend. Another thing as we get close to the weekend is going to be the micro moon. So we do have for May, our full moon is going to be May 5th tomorrow. And that is, well, the flower moon. And of course, the flower moon, I'm pretty sure it doesn't take much to put this one together. We have, well, those flowers, they're popping up for many of us across North America here as we head into spring and summer. And so that's why, with the abundance of flowers, why the May full moon is called the flower moon. But it's also going to be a micro moon because of the distance that it is away from the Earth. It's an eclipse that we have the path of the moon away from the sun. So you're actually going to find that the moon is about 222,023 miles away from Earth. So it's going to still be a ways. You may notice it's a bit smaller, but overall it's still a full moon that we have for tomorrow night. The extended forecast, eyeing the dry weather here. Happy to finally see that after 3 wet days that we've been working with lately. And then we flop back and forth between those 60s and 70s here for the next couple of days. But once we do hit 70 degrees on Sunday, no turning back. We hold those highs into the 70s for the rest of this forecast. Watching for some rain chances early next week and even for next Friday. So we'll see how that works with, of course, the following weekend. And you can keep track of that with the WTOL 11 weather app. Even though we have a dry day, keep opening up the app and make sure you're staying updated on these temperatures because they are going to start to warm. A little bit of a change of pace, but also a welcome sign here in Northwest Ohio and Southeast Michigan.